Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday night call. My name is Joe Fasio. I am a graduate of the University of Notre Dame, former football player, with two of my teammates, Rich Tillman and Mike McCoy. We're going to be talking about a very, very exciting newly patented technology. It's a 20-year-old company, and what we're going to be talking about is this little patch right here called X39. I do want to give you the disclaimer that this patch does not mitigate, diagnose, cure any type of disease or illness. What it does is it puts your body in the state of homeostasis so that your body can do what God designed it to do, and that is to heal itself. I also want to let you know that the University of Notre Dame does not endorse this product. This just happens to be a bunch of family from the University of Notre Dame who has gotten together and gotten very excited about not only the product, but also there is a business opportunity tied to it. So my friend Rich Tillman is up in Jacksonville, and my friend Mike McCoy is up in the state of Georgia. And let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to go. The best way we can make the analogy about this patch is like if you were to go out into the sun, and the sun elevates a peptide in your body, which increases your level of vitamin D. Similarly, this patch is stimulating what is called a GHK copper peptide. I like to open up by talking about this quote from the New England Journal of Medicine, which says, the number one indicator of wellness is directly correlated to the number of stem cells in the bloodstream. So, the key question you probably ask is, how do you increase stem cells in the bloodstream? Well, Dr. Lauren Picard, who's the father of study of GHK copper peptide, kind of gives us a clue here. The human peptide called GHK is a human copper binding peptide with biological actions that appear to counter aging-associated diseases and conditions. And here's our clue right here. GHK has been recommended as a treatment for metastatic cancer, chronic obstructive lung cancer, inflammation, acute injury, and activating stem cells. So that's the key right there. If you can elevate and stimulate the GHK copper peptide, you will, in fact, regenerate and bring to life some of the dormant stem cells in your body that have fallen asleep. I've learned that at the age of 30, about half of your stem cells go dormant. At the age of 60, which is where I am right now, most, if not all, of your stem cells have gone dormant. So this is how this technology works. X39 is a non-transdermal patch, which means there are no chemicals, medicines, stem cells, nothing is penetrating your skin. What I like best about it is it's a very simple daily lifestyle. You don't have to make any major lifestyle changes. Your body emits heat. We are all beings of light. That's the way God created us. So when you apply this patch on the body, the patch traps this infrared light and reflects wavelengths back into the tissue. This signals the GHK and this GHK copper peptide to come alive and go to areas of your body that have needs or for improvement. It also generates pluripotent or embryonic stem cells. Pluripotent simply means it can become any cell in the body. So the inventor, David Schmidt, likes to say you should not have to take drugs forever in order to feel better. So I think a lot of people are latching on to this concept because there are no drugs involved. There are no needles involved. There is no surgery involved. It's simply using photobiomodulation, one of my favorite words, or phototherapy for short. Here is the inventor, David Schmidt, a brilliant scientist. We love to go listen to him speak live. I could listen to him for hours. He does reference the Bible in letting folks know that he believes that God left him a thumbprint in the Bible by which he has created some of this technology. I think that's what I love about him the most. He does specialize in age reversing, and about 10 years ago, he started researching stem cells and spent about $4.5 million to bring this to market. David got his start 20 years ago. This is a 20-year-old company. He got his start with this energy enhancer patch on the right side of your screen. This energy patch was designed, he was tasked by the U.S. Navy to design it for the SEALs so that they would not have to take uppers, amphetamines, or caffeine on their underwater missions. The good news is that David still sells this energy enhancer patch to the Navy SEALs, and he probably has about 12 to 15 other patches in the repertoire. Really interesting study for the former athletes on the call. This was done at Troy State University. It was a 225-pound bench press test, and the athletes, there were 25 of them, had to lift that weight as many times as they can until they failed. So what's interesting is there was a control group, which means there was no patch on their body. There was a placebo group, which means there was a patch, but it was fake. It was filled with water. And then there was a Lifewave patch applied to a third of the athletes. Look what happened with each of these groups. They knew they were being tested. So interestingly, the 225-pound bench press, the control group that did not have a patch, increased almost 20%, which is pretty impressive. The placebo group, which had a fake patch, the patch filled with water on their body, increased 30.8%. They didn't know that they had the wrong patch on their body, and their performance increased by 30%. But look what happened to the group that had the Lifewave patch on their body. A whopping 64% increase. In fact, I believe there's a gentleman on the call who was part of this study back in the day. This is going back quite a few years ago. He was doing mid-20 repetitions, and when he put the patch on, he did 42 repetitions of a bench press. So we know that there's power in this patch. It is stimulating peptides to increase performance and stamina. Here is what gives this technology so much credibility. You can look it up. This is the U.S. patent for the X39 stem cell activation patch. We draw this to people's attention and we ask them to read the abstract, which embodiments enables wearable phototherapy that produces beneficial effects in the human body, including regenerating stem cells. So this, to me, is what kind of got me involved. It's not a Me Too product. There are literally 6,000 other companies that you could represent as a home-based business. I choose to represent this one because we have patent protection on the product for another 17 years. So this is how it works. This diagram comes with each of the patches. You get a sleeve of X39. There are 30 patches in the sleeve, one for every day. We put it on, my wife and I put it on in the morning, 12 hours on and 12 hours off. There are a lot of medical doctors endorsing this product. We have quite a few MDs and a lot of chiropractors on our team. Dr. Joseph Peck is quoted as saying that I can say without a doubt this is the most significant medical breakthrough in my lifetime. What's interesting is there are eye doctors on our team who are saying that this is by far the missing link for eye care. And what they mean by that is you cannot inject stem cells into the eye lest you risk causing blindness. This is Dr. Roger Fitch on the left-hand side. He's an optometrist. This is actually my cousin, Dr. Doreen Fasio. She is an eye surgeon in Redondo Beach, California. Both of these doctors are big fans of this technology. In fact, Dr. Fitch has given me quite a few testimonials. One of them is a gal on our team. She's had double vision for 9 years. Her husband was an optometrist. He could not fix it with lenses or medicine. 10 days on the X39 patch and the double vision corrected. Another friend we know, who may or may not be on the call, I'm not sure, but he has had central serous retinopathy for 40 years. It continued to worsen. Legally blind in one eye. After 40 days on X39, Ralph can now see out of that eye. So it truly is extraordinary, some of the benefits that we are seeing. Here's another really cool testimonial before and after. This gentleman is on our team. He is 80 years old. This first picture was taken 2 weeks into wearing the X39 patch. His wife took the photo. His barber said, "Ed, you've got some dark hair growing in and you've got a little bit more hair growth coming in." This next patch, the after, is 6 weeks later. Look at the color change, look at the additional growth, and even equally as important, look at the skin texture. It's much, much smoother because the collagen does kick in after a couple of months of being on the patch. This gentleman is a former Air Force surgeon. 13 years he had this issue, and I think Ginger said probably 45 days the after. The healing was just incredible. So wound healing is a big time benefit for the X39 patch. This is a gentleman who's on the call, one of my teammates, had this issue for many years. The doctor thought it was a bone spur. It kept callousing over and then becoming that bloody look every so often. After 1 month on the patch, the healing is absolutely extraordinary. The doctor was even talking about amputation, but look what the X39 patch did to his sore toe. Pretty incredible. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Mike McCoy. Mike is one of the top defensive linemen to come out of the University of Notre Dame. He was the #1 draft pick of the Green Bay Packers, #2 overall in the 1970 NFL draft behind Terry Bradshaw. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Mike, if you wouldn't mind, come on a little bit, talk about what your body stature, your condition was before the patch. And I know you've been on the patch for about 10 months or so. What's been your experience with the patch thus far?
Well, thank you, Joe. Great to be on this Zoom call with all these great people and some friends that are on here and some people I invited. Good to see them. In 1971, I did what John Paul II said, and I quote John Paul II in my assemblies as I speak to students in Catholic schools. He says, "Do not fear, open your hearts to Christ." Conversion is a personal decision, accepting the saving grace of Christ, becoming his a follower. And that one turned my faith on back in 1971. And about 10 months ago, I was reborn physically because of this X39 and Joe reaching out to me and me being very skeptical, I think like a lot of people are. And never did believe that, hey, you can't reverse aging. You can slow it down maybe. And I'm going to tell you, after 10 months, I believe it. And when I first started, age 45, I had my first hip replaced. I've had every joint replaced in my body. I'm probably the oldest person on this phone call right now, age 75. Anybody any older? I doubt it. Oh, no, it's not Talbot. Okay. And she raised her hand. Is she older than me? And August 10th, I played in a round-robin pickleball tournament, and I played 8 games in a row, had a little break in between, and it was 90 degrees. And a lot of these other young people were kind of like falling out. So I started taking a patch probably back in October. I had a lump on my wrist, and I could hardly touch it, and I had a cyst in my wrist, and I could hardly touch them, and I'm saying, I guess I'm going to have surgery again. Because I've had every joint replaced. I've had 18 surgeries, and probably 14 of them are football-related. So I just had this thing called an X39. This is my first month, and I just stuck it on there for 2 days. Pain went away, and over the period of 3 or 4 months, the lump went away, and the cyst went away. Not only that, but my sciatic nerve problems went away. My body is riddled with arthritis. I just had an MRI done about a month ago, and the doctors don't know why I'm still active because I've got arthritis throughout my whole body, not just my joints. And I sleep better. I play pickleball twice a week. My energy level, it took me about 5 months, Joe, to really realize the effects of X39. After that 5th month, my energy level exploded, and it's been going full blast then. And I see some people that I've seen in the past, and I went to a Raiders health fair back in April, and people saw me a year ago, and they saw me today, and they said, "Mike, you're walking better, your skin looks better. What's going on with your hair? You got brown eyebrows coming in now, and brown and hair growing all over the place." And so it's just been amazing what X39 has done for me, and it's going to enable me to continue to speak in the Catholic schools because I fly a lot. I'm up on my feet doing assemblies, 3 days a week, and not every week, but this fall I'm going to be out 3 weeks in September, October, November speaking in schools, and so that has given me a little boost. And I've got my friend Skip Medina down in Houston, who is on my team down there, and Skip and I and Joe have have really done a lot of schools down in Texas. So I appreciate that. And that's kind of my story, and it's been amazing. And I've started to use some of the other patches. The energy patch I started to use when I played pickleball. I noticed a little difference in there. Started to use the X39 a little bit more. But I think the combination of the X39 and the Aeon patch has been really powerful for me also. And even though the X39, as you told me, Joe, does everything, these other ones are supplemental to that because they're different light waves. But it's been amazing. And got a lot of people on the patch, and everyone that is experiencing. I have a friend of mine who I haven't seen in 40 years, and he saw me at a golf tournament in April, and he thought I had makeup on. And Bob Glass, he's a former Major League Baseball player, and he quit playing golf 2 years ago. Now he's playing golf 2 or 3 times a week. His pain is gone, his shoulder pain is gone, and we just continue to hear these amazing stories about what this X39 patch can do. And I guess what frustrates me is that everybody's not on it. And I got this thing from the mail. It's called it's a bio-nutritional company here in Atlanta. I'm not going to give you the whole name because I went through the whole thing. And if I took everything that they wanted me to take on a monthly basis, it'd be over $500 worth of vitamins just to take care of all the things they talked about. I have a chiropractor friend of mine. There's somebody came to his office and they had stem cells from the Indian tribe in Montana. And they wanted to intervene. They wanted to do it intravenously in his office for $1,500, and so we know the cost of all those different things. This is $3.37 a day. It's amazing. So it's been a great ride, and I'll continue to use it. People say, "When are you going to stop?" I said, "Why?" Because for $3.37 a day, $99 a month, I spend more than that. Just out there with McDonald's or whatever. And so this is going to be part of my health regime till God calls me home. So good to be with you.
That's excellent. Thank you, Mike. Mike, I appreciate your witness to Christ, and thank you for sharing your story about X39. The next gentleman I want to introduce, Rich, I know you're ready. Go ahead and unmute. Rich, one of the toughest, fastest linebackers to ever put that gold helmet on at Notre Dame. He went on to become a medical salesperson as well as a part-time football coach. And his dear Ginger might even say a few words today. But Rich, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and go ahead and tell a little bit about your story with X39 and your experience.
Thanks, Joe. A lot of people worry about sharing this business with other people and what they might think of them. You shared it with me, and I can tell you, you're like family to us, to Ginger and I both, and what it's done in our lives. So I'm thanking you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm telling the people out there that people will thank you for getting in this business. Nobody's going to hate you for doing this business. So do not be afraid to share this with anyone. Go for it, because they're looking for you. They just don't know it's you. But we'll help you if you want to build a business. But let me tell you a little bit about stem cell. I actually sold the injections as part of my orthopedic business and learned a great deal about stem cells and what they do. And unfortunately, when you inject a stem cell into somebody's body, you don't know where that stem cell is coming from. And now they can't take your own blood and redo it and inject it. That's the best way to do that. But it's localized in that area. The stem cells stay in that area, and they don't always work, and they're expensive, and insurance doesn't cover them. So a lot of people were traveling to Mexico and Europe for these very expensive stem cell shots that may or may not work. And I learned this about stem cells, is when a stem cell goes to the site of an injury or tissue repair, it also secretes all kinds of chemicals into the wound site, and that's why you get an enhanced healing. Well, do you want those stem cells to be your stem cells, or do you want the stem cells to come from somebody else, or from a cow, or from whatever they might come from? You want your own stem cells in there. What we've learned is this patch actually turns the factory back on in your body that makes stem cells. We lose the ability to make them, and it goes down over time. That's the GHKCU. That's what produces the stem cells. So we need these stem cells, and you increase them by wearing the patch. And so to avoid having to go to Europe or whatever, you put a patch on, your stem cells shoot way up, and all of a sudden, your body becomes actually younger. Each of your cells now has more potential, and that potential makes you younger. And that's what the stem cells do. So I highly encourage everyone to give these a try. They do no harm, right, Joe? They don't do any harm. You'll never be worse off by putting this patch on. You can only be better.
Amen.
You know, here's Ginger. You can attest to the stem cells.
Okay, I didn't know, my sister Janice attested to, we didn't know how bad we were until we started getting better in our results. And sometimes you don't feel it. My blood work, my bone density increased to normal. It has been normal for over 15 years. My thyroid is normal after 10 years. My arthritis pain is gone. I mean, I can't tell you how many things that sometimes you don't feel, but it's working. It's definitely working.
All right, Joe.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, just to reiterate, there are no contraindications. It doesn't interfere with any prescription drugs or medications. In fact, it's going to help you wean off of some of the prescription drugs. You know, I said earlier, there's about 6,000 home-based businesses, direct sales, relational marketing companies out there. But Lifewave happens to be the #1 ranked company in the world. So you guys are at the right place at the right time. If you haven't jumped on board yet, I would encourage you to get with the person that invited you to this. Take a position in this company. We're soon to be $1 billion company, so it's so much fun. I mean, all of us who have spoken, we wake up every morning and we just get excited for life, and we thank God for giving us another day. It's just so exciting, blessing people both from a health perspective and also financially. So I'm going to shift the concept of the meeting right now, and let's talk a little bit about the financial benefits. You know, number 45 said, if I lost everything and had to start again, I would find a great network marketing company and get to work. Well, we have found the #1 network marketing company in the entire world because it's patent protected. Nobody can copy it. No one even comes close. So I'm going to turn it over now to my partner, Mr. Carl Firestone, who's actually owned a franchise or two, and he's going to highlight some of the differences of traditional business or franchise versus what we have our hands on. So, Carl, can you unmute yourself and give us a little taste of the business opportunity?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Joe. Wow, what a great Zoom. You're doing a great job. Rich and Ginger, Mike, McCoy, welcome everybody, and thank you. You're all doing a fantastic job. I'm learning and taking all kinds of notes. So I really appreciate this. It's interesting to watch different people present and how much we can learn from each other. So very, very nice job. Anyway, you guys, I was a businessman, entrepreneur, pretty much my whole adult life, and I've owned 7 businesses across 4 sectors, including 2 global construction companies, a conventional sandwich franchise, and had the 3rd highest grossing store in the state of Illinois. Couldn't pull $60,000 out of that franchise, and I lived there working with teenagers, smelling like pickles and onions for 12 hours a day. And but it helped me cut my teeth on business, and I'm very grateful and thankful to God for that. And it was a blessing in disguise. It really was. And what I learned during that time and owning those different businesses, and why I'm so excited about Lifewave and what it offers, conventional business and franchise has very high startup costs, very high ongoing overhead, high stress and hours, time away from family. You've got to follow all the corporate regulations, and advertising and royalty fees are off the chart. You've got headaches like employees and payroll, insurance fees, rent, utilities, maintenance. The list goes on and on. What I love about this product and opportunity, think about it. The company, David Schmidt, had to conceptualize and come up with this amazing product. He thought of it. He invested in it. He manufactured it, created the website, all the marketing. He ships the product to our prospects and our friends, right? They handle all the customer service. They pay the commissions. So what's left for us? we just basically herald the message, right? We are the sales force, if you will, to go out there and share with people, yet we get the lion's share of the revenue that comes into the company. 60% of this soon-to-be billion-dollar company is coming back to the brand partners that share it. And so it's a very low startup cost, and your ongoing startup costs remain low, and they remain consistent as you increase your revenue. Now think of that. That is a key point in business. I never had a business in my life where my overhead stayed the same as I tried to grow or grew my revenue. Those lousy expenses kept growing right along with the revenue, but this is a totally different animal. $200 a month locks you in on 2 sleeves of X39, for example. You can ride that all the way to the top of the compensation plan and the top rank in the company. You guys, this is turns conventional business on its head. So it's passive compounding residual income. What most people don't understand about this, and that's why we need to share with people and get them to unfold this is the answer that we've been hoping and praying for, because as your business grows, that compounding residual income kicks in, and you don't have to be the only person, sharing it, doing the Zooms, doing meetings. You're building a team of people. Kathy and I have put in we've put in approximately 60 people personally, and right now we have over 60,000 people on our team. And we get a piece of all that activity from those 60,000 people that come in after us, just a little piece of each one of that activity, and it's a beautiful business model, and that's why Trump was so excited too. And I love that quote that you shared from him, Joe. He's got another one. He was on the David Letterman show, and he was asked that question, what would you do, right? He said he'd go out and find a network marketing company and get to work. And the audience laughed at him. And he said, that's why I'm up here and you're down there. Right? So it is a very, very powerful business model. So
guys, a lot of people are hurting out there, both from a health perspective after the pandemic, long COVID, the vaccination, and they're also hurting financially in this crazy economy with exorbitant inflation. I like to end these presentations by giving glory to God, and one of my favorite scriptures comes from Proverbs 3:27, and it says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power and your hand to do so." So we're going to go ahead and call it a night, but this little guy right here is the power in your hand to help others. The thing I love about this business the most is we're helping others. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this for my sister, Jennifer, who has multiple sclerosis. That was my why for getting in the business, because I said no to this 3 times. And then somebody on Carl's Facebook page posted about a spouse who got range of motion improvement, and she had multiple sclerosis. Well, that was my divine intervention sign that I knew I needed to say yes to this opportunity. So, again, thank you for spending part of your evening with us. Mike McCoy, great job. Love you guys. Rich Tolman and Ginger, love you guys.
I was going to say, Thursday night, we have a really special guest coming on. I think it's setting a record. She's 100 years old, and she is getting remarkable, jaw-dropping results with her heart, and her cardiologist could not believe what was happening. So if she's feeling well enough, she's going to be on Thursday night, but if not, her daughter-in-law will be sharing her story. So if you can catch that one, it's going to be good.
I had horrible hip pain, just I couldn't even get out of bed. And the orthopedic surgeon said, "We got to replace both them hips, Mr. Young." And I said, "Well, let me try this patch." And I just started a patch, I explained it to him. He's the top surgeon for hip replacement there. He said, "Don't tell anybody about it because I want to make money." want to make money operating on these folks.
It's interesting. If you go to thisisit.info.com and you watch the interview with Stephen Gene Merritt and Dr. Leland Stillman, he's an MD, he'll describe in detail how it actually is beneficial in that regard. And we have had a testimony with somebody that whose kidneys were shut down and they were on dialysis for nearly 40 years. After 5 or 6 months on X39, can you imagine this? 40 years of dialysis, 5 or 6 months in, using the restroom on its own again. But that's the real effect it has on your kidneys. So don't worry, your stem cells will not harm you. Your own stem cells will not harm you in any way.
That hearing David Schmidt talk, we could listen to him all day. And many times we'll just travel in our car and I say, hey, let's get some David Schmidt on, like he's the Beatles or somebody. And we just,
We do.
And we do, yeah.
Every day.
Oh, it doesn't matter if it's old David Schmidt or new David Schmidt. We're listening,
That's awesome.
Bring something for him to sign, Rich. Bring like a football or a helmet, something.
We do.
We love David Schmidt.
Yeah.
We do too. He's the real deal.
He is.
Absolutely.
Definitely the real deal.
I think we can call it a night, folks. Again, if you're new, get back with the person who invited you to this. If you want more information, I would strongly encourage you to jump on this team. We're having so much fun. We're going to do this again on Thursday night with Carl and Kathy Firestone live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then this call, this is traditionally called the Notre Dame call. That's going to be every single Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So please invite friends next time, and hopefully we'll see you all again soon. God bless, and have a good evening.
God bless.
See ya.
Thank you.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.
Irish.